Hello everyone, my name is Aarti and you're watching HW News. It is the 7th day of Sri Lanka's political crisis. The protests have once again become huge. Massive protests are happening in the country, especially in the national capital of Colombo. Protesters have taken to street. Angry protesters are demanding the resignation of not only Gotabaya Rajapaksa, the president of the country, but also of Ranil Wickremesinghe, who was earlier the prime minister of the country and now he has been made the acting president of the country. So angry protesters are storming the streets, they are storming the national institutions building, they are storming presidential palace, they have also stormed prime minister's office, prime minister's residence. When Ranil Wickremesinghe was prime minister, his residence last week was also set on fire by the angry protesters. Some of the protesters yesterday also entered the Rupavahini broadcaster, that is Rupavahini Corporation, that is the National Corporation Broadcasting Corporation of Sri Lanka, and they also went on air for few minutes before the broadcast was finally cut off. So this is happening in Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, on the other hand, the president of the country, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who fled Tuesday night, seems to be on a nation hopping spree. There are reports that from Maldives, where he landed yesterday, he is now trying to go to Singapore. This morning at around 8 o'clock, he requested a private jet to land at Maldives, and from Maldives, he will be going to Singapore. That is what the report says. At around 11 a.m. in the morning, the plane arrived and took him, his wife and two other bodyguards. Reportedly, they are the people with him right now. They have gone to Singapore. This is where he is going to land. These are what the reports are claiming. But again, Singapore is not the final destination of the fleeing president of Sri Lanka, Gotabaya Rajapaksa. It seems like from Singapore he is going to go to Saudi Arabia, and the arrangements for the same have also been made. According to Associated Press, a jet landed in Maldives and took him to Singapore at around 11:14 a.m. this morning. And as I said, he is taking a Saudi Airline plane to Singapore, and from there he will also go to Saudi Arabia. This is what the reports are saying. A huge crowd of reporters was also present outside the Singapore airport. However, reporters also tried to ask questions to Maldives President Ibu Soleh, and they asked him whether Gotabaya Rajapaksa paid him some money, paid him some bribe to clear the route for him, to plan the route for him. Now, Gotabaya Rajapaksa still remains the president of the country. He was supposed to resign yesterday. He had in fact phoned the Speaker of the Parliament saying that he will be resigning from the post of president, but he did not do so. And before he could resign, he fled the country. He went to Maldives, and now he is going to Singapore, and from Singapore he is going to take a flight to Saudi Arabia. This is what the reports are saying. Back home, if you see, the situation has not improved much. The protesters were still capturing the prime minister's office. This morning, soldiers tried to take them back. Soldiers tried to vacate the place and also take the control back over prime minister's office, but they were not successful in their attempt. But this afternoon, protesters themselves have decided, they have agreed to vacate the place. Not only the prime minister's office, the protesters are also saying that they will vacate all the national institutions building that they have captured. This is what the protesters are saying. Meanwhile, Sri Lankan forces have also denied the reports that there were casualties, there were deaths in the yesterday evening protest. Meanwhile, a curfew has been imposed, a 17-hour curfew has been imposed in Sri Lanka from 12 o'clock this noon to 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. This is what the 17-hour curfew looks like in Sri Lanka. As we spoke about yesterday, there has been a state of emergency imposed in the island nation. Army soldiers, meanwhile, have been authorized to use necessary force to prevent destruction of life and public property. Opposition has also rejected the move of making Ranil Wickremesinghe as the acting president. Not only the protesters, but also the opposition, collective opposition, has rejected the idea of making Ranil Wickremesinghe as the president, acting president of the country. So Sri Lanka is in constitutional crisis right now because Gotabaya Rajapaksa has not resigned, so the member of parliament cannot elect as of now a new president among them. They were supposed to elect a new president for the country on July 20th. That is when the session of the parliament was supposed to begin, and they were supposed to elect a new president for the country. But since Gotabaya Rajapaksa has not resigned, and the reasons for that are very simple, because Gotabaya Rajapaksa believes that if he resigns as president of the country, then he will not get the immunity to flee the country, and he will be forced to come back to Sri Lanka. He will be forced to return to Sri Lanka, and his family will also not get a safe passage. This is what the simple we can say the reasoning behind why Gotabaya Rajapaksa fled the country is, because if he loses the immunity, then he will be just like any other criminal who is on the run from the country. Meanwhile, in Maldives also, in large number, common people are standing up with the people of Sri Lanka. They have been saying "Go Gota Go" slogans in Maldives as well, and they are asking Maldivian government why they shielded Gotabaya Rajapaksa in their country. So these are the updates that are happening in Sri Lanka right now. This is the 7th day of the protest. The protest that has started once again. This is the 7th day since Gotabaya Rajapaksa went incommunicado last Friday. These are the updates. Do let us know what you think about this in the comment box below. For more news and updates, you can log on to www.hwnews.in.